This video is going to show how to create a digital syllabus, and I'm going to model it after one that I've created and shared recently. So it's going to have kind of some design features that you may not feel like you want to include, but you can certainly add your own design features if you have kind of a different idea of what you're looking for. But I'm going to create this in Google Slides, so I'm going to open up a new slides presentation. And the first thing I'm going to do is change my page setup. Now, it kind of depends what you're using this for. If this is something that you think you might, if this is something you think you might actually print for people, then you may want to go ahead and make it 8.5 by 11. So to do that, you just do 8.5 by 11 here. I created mine with the intention of having it be viewed on my class app. So I use 9 by 14. It doesn't really make a difference because you can always hit, when you go to print, you can just do print to viewable area or whatever, and it'll still print even if it's not 8.5 by 11. So just use whatever your preference is. For my digital syllabus, I created it like a clipboard. So I'm going to just do that same thing here. You don't have to make a clipboard if you don't want to, but I'm going to create a clipboard kind of a look. So for my clipboard, I'm going to use this rounded rectangular shape. And I'm going to have that take up the majority of the space here. Pick a color that you like. I'm going to go with green, I think. And then I remove the border, so I just make the border transparent. And this little guy here, you can make your edges more round or less round. All right, so that's going to be the background of my clipboard. I'm just going to make sure it's centered, and then I'm going to create the clip part. So to create the clip, I used this donut shape, and I'm going to make that a little bit less thick, center that, and I'm going to make it, you can do any color you want. I'm going to make it a dark gray color. And then I'm also going to use this shape here to make the clip. So I will color that in the same color, that dark gray color, and I don't need any borders. All right, you can play around with that until you like how it looks, until you get that kind of a clipboard feel. And then I add a sheet of paper in the background. So my sheet of paper is going to be like this. And I'm just going to make the paper white. And because I want the clip to be in front of that, I'm going to select the clip and do arrange, order, bring to front. And that way the clip's on the front. All right, that looks pretty good. It doesn't look quite centered. Here we go. And make sure the paper is also centered. There we go. All right, so we've got the kind of the background for our syllabus. And I'm going to go ahead and download that as a background image so it'll just stay put. So I'm going to do File, Download, PNG. I'm going to add a blank slide to my presentation, and I'm going to insert that image as a background image. So you just go to Background, choose Image, Browse, and it's the most recent item in my downloads. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and start adding some elements to my syllabus, which is just going to be, the different features that I want to make sure I include. So the first thing I'm going to include is my name and the name of the course. Probably going to be a little bit too big to get the name of the course in there as well. There we go. All right. Oops, just try to get that as far over as I can so there's some space between them. I might drag this text box all the way to the edge and give myself a little more room. All right, looks like that's about as far apart as I'm going to be able to get them, and I'm fine with that. And then after I have my name and the name of the class, I'm going to put just like the basic information here on the front. So I'm going to put a contact, how they can contact me. And I thought I did something that I kind of liked last time. I inserted a cell phone. So when you search for an image, you want to use PNG because PNG means it'll have a transparent background. I think this is actually the one I used before right here. I'm going to adjust the size of this. If you double click, you can crop your image. Oops. There we go. And then I'm going to make it way smaller. All right. Probably about like that. And I am going to take some off the bottom there. Top. Okay, so I'm going to use that camera there to put my contact information. So I'm going to put a text box at the top. That's going to say contact me. Maybe how to contact me. And then I'm going to put the different ways that I can be contacted. So we'll do email, I don't like to leave the link in, so I'm going to remove the link there. And then last, let's see, we could put I'll put my website. That's not my real website, but you can put your real website there. All right, so you put whatever methods of contact you have for your parents, and that'll be good to go for them. I'm gonna underline that, I think. There we go. Okay, that looks good. Something else that I want to make sure I include on the front page of my syllabus is going to be kind of like the just basic class expectations. Our district has a kind of a set of expectations that we continuously remind students of. So I'm going to stick those here on my front page as well. And let's make that a nice large font. And that's it. Easy breezy. Do you have more than that or something different? Maybe like a set of class rules that you want to add there? That would be a good spot for that. All right. I'm going to put what I always include in my syllabus is what supplies I need for class. So I think I'll do this one with a different shape maybe. All right. So this is going to be materials. Get that to the top. And then I'm going to actually add a second text box with the materials that are needed inside there. And I can adjust the size of my little note as needed. So for the materials, I'm going to use the bulleted list. There's a lot of different options. I'm going to do the star. So just whatever your requirements are. That's about it. All right, that looks good. Just going to make sure that I have that the right size, and I'm going to get rid of that border as well there. All right, the next thing I'm going to put here at the bottom is how I grade, like the grading scale. So I'm going to do one of these fancy arrows here. I'm going to use this space to write the word grades, and then I'm going to actually put the grades down below. And I'm just using one font the whole time, but obviously depending what you like, you could mix it up and change the font up. Plus I'm trying to go kind of quick here, of course. All right. So I'm going to put my grading scale down, or not my grading scale, excuse me, my weights, my categories for how I grade. And I have 4 categories. So I'm going to put 4 circles here. And this time I'm going to actually leave the middle transparent, and I'm going to make the outside have a color. And I'm going to make it a little bit thicker here. So I'm going to use this circle 4 times. I'm going to make it a little. To make sure the arrow isn't touching. There we go. All right, that looks good. Make this a little smaller. All right, copy, Control C and Control V, and I need 4 of those. And then I'm going to select those 4 and do arrange, distribute horizontally so that they're all even to one another, all the same distance apart. All right, and then each of these, I'm also going to make the same font. I'm going to have to do a smaller font because I'm going to be writing inside each of those. All right, so my first one is going to be classwork, which is worth 30%. I need to make that a little smaller. There we go. All right, then we have tests, which are worth 50%. We have quizzes. Well, that's in classwork. Then we have, homework, 10%. And then finally, participation and behavior. It looks like I'm not going to get participation to fit, so I'm going to make that smaller. There we go. And that is also 10%. All right, so I've got my 4 grading categories there. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a button here, and that's going to take them to the next page. So I'm just going to pick a shape, and that shape is going to become my little button. I'll use this. Click here for page 2, and that way they can view the rest of the syllabus. Okay, so then we're going to add another page. So I'm going to add another blank slide, and then once again I'm going to set the background as that image I downloaded, the clipboard image. All right, so there's a lot of different things you can add here on the second page, whatever you feel like you might need. For mine, I just created a bunch of text boxes. I had a text box on grading, So I'm just gonna put my heading here. And give my box a border. And then you can type right inside there, or you can add an additional text box inside with whatever your grading policy is, or if you have something specific that you want to make sure people, your students and parents know about grading, whether that is late work or how late assignments can be turned in, things like that. So you can just type in whatever you want to say about that. All right, so I'm going to actually just copy and paste that box and create a second one over here. And this I can title with something else. If there's another thing that I want to describe in my syllabus, whatever other pieces of information you feel like your parents would need to know. So that might be discipline, what your discipline policy is. And again, I'm going to add this. This is my discipline policy, whatever you feel like they need to know about that. And you can add as many of those as you think you need. So, whatever other additional information, maybe there's some additional info you want them to have. I had a section in mind about flipped classrooms because my classroom is going to be a flipped classroom this year. So I had some information about what that looks like. And then I put on mine a link to a sign-off sheet. So I had, please click here to sign off on the syllabus and complete parent questionnaire. And I made that a really bright color because I wanted to make sure that my parents would see that. Well, that's like super bright, so maybe we'll go with that. All right. And then I'll show you how you can actually do that here. I'm going to add a button to go back to the first page because the way that I present this to my parents, they don't have like a back button. So I am going to copy this same little button here and put it here and say click here for page 1. So they can go back and forth as needed. All right. So we've got a couple more things to do here. The first thing is going to be I need to save all of my work. I don't want it to be something that could accidentally be moved around. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to add a transparent shape on top of everything, which I'm going to need to zoom out so I can do that. So I'm adding a rectangle over everything, and I'm going to make that rectangle transparent fill and transparent border. And that's just like a cover on top of everything. And that cover protects all of that stuff so it can't be moved around or clicked accidentally. I'm going to link that cover to that slide. So insert link, slide to that slide, which is really hard to do when it's big, so you have to slide it up. Insert link to slide 1. That way, I'm going to publish this to the web, so that way if someone's looking at it and they click, it doesn't take them to the next slide. It doesn't auto forward them to the next slide. And then I also want to add a link here because I want them to actually be able to click this. This is the only link I have here on the front page. So I'm going to put a transparent little button on the top of my cover, and I'm going to link that to the page too. So it's too low. I won't be able to do it. Insert link to slide 2, and then that way that's the only functioning button basically on that entire page. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to insert that blank transparent shape, and I'm going to link that to the current slide. So we'll link that large rectangle, insert link to slide 2 this time because that's what slide we're on. And then again, I'm going to add a link for my button. So I just use the same shape, put it over the top, and make it transparent. And I'm going to link that to page 1. It's at the bottom. It's really hard to insert the link because it goes down too low. There we go. So I'm going to insert that back, link back to slide 1. Stick that right on the top there. All right, the other thing that I need to do is I want to link to this sign off, which I've created in Google Forms. I'll make a second video about how I created my parent questionnaire in Google Forms, but for now I'm just going to show you how I can link it. So once again, I'm going to add a transparent shape over the top here. And I'm going to go get the link for that questionnaire from my drive. Of course, that means I have to remember where I put it. There it is. So here's my Google form that I created. That's going to be for my parents to sign off. So it has 2 parts. The first part is just I've read and understand the expectations. I've read and understand the grading policy. I understand the materials that are needed. I understand the technology rules. And then, so they just click yes for all those. And then the second part is a questionnaire that I usually give a paper copy, but I'm going to try it online this year. And then they just submit that. So I need to get a link. So I'm going to click here to link, and I'm going to copy that link. And then I'm going to put that link in right here. So when they click here, it'll take them directly to the form. So insert link, and I'm just going to paste that link. All right, so when your syllabus is finished and it's ready to be shared, you are going to, what I do, and there's many ways you could share this. You could upload it in your Google Classroom, but what I like to do is publish it to the web. That way it's not viewed in Google Slides. So I'm going to hit publish, okay. And I'm going to copy that link, Control C and Control V. It'll take me there. That's what it looks like. So here, click here for page 2, click here for page 1. If I click anywhere else, you can see nothing happens. If you do not want this here, if you don't want them to be able to go back and forth, you can remove that. And the way you do that is at the end of your URL, at the very end of your URL you created. The last thing in your URL should be this 3000. And you're going to put the and symbol, RM equals minimal. And that just removes that. You can see now that the arrow is gone there at the bottom. When I want to share this link with parents, I create a tiny URL. It's just an easier way to share a link and something they can go to all the time. You can also, again, just share it on a website that you have, send it over, remind, whatever works best for you. But this link will take them directly to this syllabus. All right, thanks for watching. And I'm gonna add here in just a moment how I did that Google form if you want to check that out.